Welcome back to the whole home. I thought we'd do a little catch up after taking some time off, posting new videos, and I deleted all my social media apps through the holidays. We're getting back into routines, and I thought we'd do a little catch up and a look forward into 2025. If you are new here, hi, I'm Kezia, and my goal on the internet is to make sustainable, lower footprint living feel a little less complicated and a bit more budget friendly. And at the beginning of last year, 2024, I decided to bring that to YouTube and start posting here weekly, something from that journey. I've posted it on Instagram for a long time, but I wanted to make the move to YouTube where we can share a little more slowly and sit like this together and drink my coffee or my tea and have a bit longer chat rather than Instagram, which can feel like a bit of a rat race in very short snippets of content. And I wanted to actually get to chat and talk through things and be a little bit more podcasty sometimes and show longer form processes and things like that. So if you have joined me here over the last year, thanks for being a part of the journey. I have loved the different comments, from the encouragement and hearing the ways that it's helped you to the feedback like I use my hands far too much, I am trying, I'm learning, or I've got a bad mic, or all the different feedback. We've got a better mic and I'm really trying to not use my hands. Anyway, if you've joined over the last year, thanks for being here. The journey of sustainability and doing it in a budget-friendly, uncomplicated way has been a journey of a decade in our family, and it's looked like many different things along the way. And I think social media is sometimes been what's made sustainable living feel complicated and like something only for people with a lot of money. And both of those are so wrong, and we need to pull away from them and realize that really the heart of sustainability and living in a low footprint way is consuming less, and that actually is usually a good thing for the budget. Before we dive into a bit of the year and reflection and looking forward, when I say low footprint, I say that because sustainability for me is more than looking at our carbon footprint or the amount of waste that we create or our environmental footprint. It's really also a question of human impact and how our consuming choices are affecting other people. And I first thought about this in terms of clothing, and then came to realize there's a story of everything before it comes into our home. And so my goal here and in that lower footprint life is to look at all the things we bring into our home, all the things and the ways that we're consuming, and their impact on the environment, their impact on people, and their impact on our own family in terms of health and mental well-being and so many different things. So that is what I mean when I say low footprint. I want to start by talking about this jacket, which was my Christmas project. Before Christmas, my husband said, I like those quilt jackets. You should make yourself a quilted jacket. And I was like, do you want to look after the kids while I make that? We have been on a 2-year journey now of not buying any new clothes for the sake of sustainability and that human impact thing. You can watch a whole video on 2 years of not buying new clothes, but I have started making clothes a tiny bit. This is like the fourth thing I've made, out of fabric that is already in circulation. So this was a tote bag, this edging, an old duvet cover of ours that was too faded and stained in places to use, and another duvet cover that I had got from another project, and then cotton that I got from a charity shop. And the paddy bit inside was an old crib mattress cover that we inherited from someone else, used for a few years, didn't need anymore. I didn't know if anyone was going to want it third or fourth hand with a lot of staining. So it is now inside this jacket, and I absolutely love it. It was a really fun project. I am so new to sewing. I sewed dresses last year. You can also go watch a video about that. That was the first piece of clothing I had ever sewed. I didn't know what I was doing, but this was my Christmas project. So while I was not on social media, I was sewing away at this jacket. I didn't vlog the process. I just wanted to do it all without a camera, relaxing and not creating any content. But it is not the last one I'm going to make. I'm already planning my next one, but that was my relax holiday project, and I'm in love with it. So that's the coat. Oh, 2025. The last year on YouTube has been fun. Thanks for being here. I started last year with a husband living in another country. We took a Christmas trip a year ago out. He was working in Germany. So I started it parenting as the only parent on the ground in England, and that was a lot stress-wise. My husband also finished his PhD last year, graduated in July. So it was a year of a lot of change and pretty stressful year in different places. It was also our first year in this house, and we'd been living with my parents for 4 or 5 years prior, after we moved back from California, where we lived for over a decade, had our first 2 kids there. Then we were living with my parents, and so this is our first home that is just where we live since we moved to England. And last year was our first full year here, which led to a lot of exploring the little bit of land that we have here. And I vlogged a little of the gardening process through the year. We also added ducks last year, which was really fun. We added ducks and we lost ducks. So we got 5 ducks in spring. And we've had chickens previously, and there were a number of reasons I wanted to move to ducks. So we drove a long way to find these little ducklings that I could not find locally. And we got 5 ducklings in the spring, and we have been learning how to have ducks. We then lost the drake in the autumn last year. It's very sad, but he protected the girls. He was got by a fox. All the girls were fine. And then we rehomed 2 drakes locally that needed a home. About 4 weeks after we brought them home, one of them drowned, which I didn't share on social media, but we came home one day and they have a little pool in there when they're fully shut up when we're out, and he was just dead in the water. And I think maybe after rehoming him, he didn't actually know how to swim that well. He was an Indian runner. Anyway, we lost him. So we are now down to having 1 boy and 4 girls, which is perfect. And I'm hoping that in the spring, we will be able to incubate some eggs and have some little ducklings, add a couple more girls to our flock for a few more eggs. We could do with a few more eggs daily, but we are loving the eggs that we're getting. We've loved the journey with ducks, but hopefully that's a goal this year, is to get an incubator and have a few more eggs. The ducks we have are cocky Campbells, who are typically not good mothers and just won't sit on eggs, hence the incubator. You just have to figure out what you're going to do with the boys. That's the question for me. So if we can figure out how we'll manage the boys, we will do the incubating thing and have some more ducklings. Last year, we also dived into the journey of trying out homeschool, which we then stopped. And I talked very honestly about this in a few different videos. And if you want to see that reflection, you can go and watch those videos. We love our local school, and the kids have loved their journey there so far, but we just were beginning to ask some questions about what we wanted life to look like and the pace of life and how quick it was and how there was no space and time. And that led us to really have questions about whether homeschooling would be the best fit for our family. And so instead of wondering this for their whole school career, we just decided, let's go wild and try it. So we pulled them out of school last year in May, and we tried homeschool. And you know what? I realized it is not for us. And there is a very vocal, positive, singing all the praises of homeschool community on the internet. I am not one of those people. It was good in so many ways, and it also just stressed me out. And I judged myself a lot for that I actually just didn't have the capacity to have my kids at home all the time. I judged myself as a mother immensely for that, but actually came to realize it's okay. And we have a lot in our life. I am not a mom who's home and not working. My husband does have a 9-to-5. It was too much for me, and that's okay. So now we are in this Flexi-School model of education, which we adore. We are a couple of months into doing it, so still early stages, but the kids are in school for a few days a week, and they are out of school and learning at home for a few days a week. It's been really interesting to figure it out and watch this space, because it is evolving for us definitely, but we love that balance of a little bit more time and space in the week when they're at home to do our lessons in the morning and then play in the garden or take a trip or do something differently. But we also get the diversity of learning that comes from school and the friends and the social. we love it. It's let us do some fun things like take trips to London and supplement their learning of the Great Fire of London with going to the monument and seeing Pudding Lane. If you've done that phase of school in England, you know it all, but supplement their learning in fun ways like that together, as well as they wanted to be a part of a local Christmas fair, and they did some sewing and designing and sourcing materials and selling things at a fair. That was a really good experience, and dipping their toe in being a little bit entrepreneurial. So there's been some really good positive experiences from it. We're also figuring out what it looks like to meet their educational kind of drive and their drive for learning at home. I am definitely more in the traditional learning camp, and I'm trying to be flexible with that and lean into what they want to do and give more time to that. But I'm currently a little scared to diverge from maths and language arts and do the lessons and do the things and not kind of go off road in how we learn. But I want to learn to be a little bit more flexible, because I think that's really where we can capitalize on those days at home along with the traditional learning at school. So one of my goals this year is to put a bit more time into figuring out how we can be creative and follow their learning interests while also covering the curriculum that we need to and having fun. So that's a goal for me for this year, is to really hit the sweet spot in the Flexi-School agreement that we have. We also last year did a year of no flying, which was a real goal for me. And I know it's a big thing. Flying is a big thing to change when it comes to our carbon footprint, but being a international family with my husband is from the States, I'm from here, we have family in both places, we have grandparents in both places. It's a really tough one for me, footprint-wise. And so we will only fly to see family. We're not gonna jet off to Europe for a vacation just for our family. We've said if we're gonna fly, it is going to be solely for work that has to happen or to see family. Because ultimately we can put our foot down and say we're never going to fly again, but then family just comes to see us. So there's this reality of our life will cause a flying carbon footprint. And I have so many bigger questions about how we talk to our children about that as they plan their lives. And I don't know what the answer is there, but it brings a lot of questions for me. But we did no flying as a family for the year, which made me really happy. Is not sustainable in terms of we can't keep that going because we'll never see family. I don't know how we do that, but it was nice to do a year where we didn't fly at all. And I would love to do another one. I don't think it will happen, but it was nice to still do a year of none last year, and then really grappling with how we do that well going forward. But we do know we won't be flying for holidays. Our holidays, like we did last year, will always be car trips, train trips, and lower footprint options, so that if we are using the footprint of flying, it is just for the more essential seeing family. One video I tried to make last year that I never made, there was a debrief or like a real digging into Ballerina Farm. I'm wearing a quilted jacket and I have my ducks outside, and there are some pieces of me that are very homestead blogger. In other ways, I am just not that person. I am not the stereotypical person who sows things and gardens at all. I sow for sustainability and because we can't destroy our planet and we can't destroy people's lives by the way we consume fast fashion. That's why I sow. Anyway, but the story of Ballerina Farm, if you know, is the blog by Utah family or mom Hannah Nealman, and she kind of took the internet by storm. And then last year there was a New York Times article about her life, but she is like the poster child of trad wife, which is everything I don't aspire to be, despite sewing clothes and having ducks and making sourdough. Anyway, she's become the kind of what people aspire to a lot as stay-at-home moms, which while I'm a stay-at-home mom, I don't go out for my 9 to 5. I would like to make the move to doing that in the next few years. That's another story. I also work on the side. We very much co-parent our children, which different people mean different things by co-parent. We are married, but parenting is a both of us task. Running the house is a both of us task. We both work when we work. We're both on kids and house when we're not working, and we share all those responsibilities. I am not aiming for trad wife. I'm running away from trad wife, and it has been a journey. Traditional gender roles is something we've spent the last 6 years pulling away from. But the way that Hannah Nealman took the internet and sourdough bakers by storm made me fascinated by her life and the marketing and the branding and what she had done. And I dove into her life a lot to make a video. It's still floating around somewhere here, but it actually led me on like a deep personal process. She's someone who gave up a career to stay home. I dropped out of university, not to stay home and be a mom, but for different reasons. Never went back, and have kind of landed doing this job that I love and appreciate, but maybe isn't what I want to do forever. That's some honesty for you. Anyway, so looking at her life made me actually do some deep looking at my own life. The way she took people by storm really made me fascinated by her, and I will make a video. I will make that video, but it actually led me to look a lot at my life and really how I want things to change as my kids all are in school, at least for some days of the week within the next year. So that was actually ended up being a real personal process for me in 2024. And I never brought that video to the internet, but we will make it because I think it's actually really important that we understand so many aspects of social media and the way people talk on social media and what we portray, and how some of these routines and rhythms and ways of life have been kind of in a way taken over by the trad wife lifestyle, and how they don't have to be, and how that's not why I garden or why I save seed or why I do sourdough, any of those things, and how there's a different way to do it. I think it's really important to tease some of that out and talk about it. So we will do that video. 2024 also was the shutdown of a company I have worked with for a lot of years, the US B Corp Beautycounter, which is a brand I started working with back in 2018 in the search for clean, ethical things for my skin, and ended up working with them. They are a direct sales company, which I hated. When I started working with them as an affiliate, which I was really used to, didn't understand that whole world. Well, I'm no longer working with them, but I used it as a time to really pull everything I could learn from that type of company, but also from a female-founded B Corporation brand, looking at impact and changing legislation, all the different aspects of that company, which again, maybe sometime this year we will debrief what I learned in 6 years working with a direct sales company. But that has been a journey that ended last year that I am happy to not be carrying into this year. Another thing I have let go in 2024 and not bringing into 2025 is my US residency. I've had US residency for the last 15 years, and I kind of no longer have, it's complicated, but I have let it go. So I'm no longer a US resident, which is an interesting one that I've processed. It made me very sad. I have American children, so not to have residency felt kind of weird. And again, work-wise, it means I cannot work for any US company, which is a big financial hit, but that's not coming with me into 2025. So that is new for this year. There are no big things on the docket for this year in our family, aside from, I talked in a previous video that we are renovating this little tiny office out in our garden into an Airbnb. We're doing it very slowly, as sustainably as we can, but that is a journey that is coming with us that you will see. We're continuing all the little things that we do, nothing big, but we are continuing with not buying clothes to do that more sustainably, continuing to make our food as sustainable as we can, continuing to share that here on the internet, life as a family on a real life budget, making these changes in a way that's not overwhelming and doesn't kill our budget. And that's what we're going to keep bringing this year. It'll be another year of gardening, another year of trying to figure out how we responsibly use the growing space that we have to feed our family, to give food to other people, to look after the land, to maybe add some more ducks, to do little renovation bits around the home slowly while we embrace these 850 square feet and love them and love getting to live in them. But that's what you're in for this year. It is a simple year and a year of just continuing with small changes and sharing them here on the internet in this slower way that I really like. But if you're not following, you can hit follow for that very real life journey. And if there's a video that you would like to see this year, please drop that in the comments. I would love to know what you would like to see, although I don't like saying that because that's on me to figure out what to post, not you. But thanks for being on the journey too. If you're there, I know sometimes it can be complicated, it can be overwhelming, and it can feel like it takes a lot of our budget. So we're going to do it differently. We're going to do it together. And here's to another year.